What's up guys, Miss Pass here, back with another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes commentary video, and today we are continuing my Commander Luke Skywalker mini-series with the Stormtrooper Han Rework. Stormtrooper Han has long been one of my most recommended characters, and in fact he's the first character I always recommend that players farm from the arena store because he is so versatile. First off, he's a tank, and early on, players need tanks in order to do the gear challenges, and they need tanks in order to help their squad survive both for light side battles, in arenas, cantina, galactic war. He's just an all-around great character for newer players because he's very strong early on in the game. And then he really only becomes more valuable as you continue to progress through the game. Not only is he a rebel, so he's very useful for unlocking Emperor Palpatine, because you have to have 5 rebels, he's also a scoundrel, and scoundrels are obviously very, very helpful in acquiring more credits, which everybody wants, and training droids. You're going to need scoundrels to complete both the credit heist and the droid smuggling events, and Stormtrooper Han, being a very good early on character in the game, will help you meet that goal. Some interesting facts to note about Stormtrooper Han is that he is one of the fastest tanks in the game. Along with that, he also has one of the longest taunts in the game. But on the flip side, it also has one of the longest cooldowns of taunts in the game. So he's kind of an interesting character in that he is a fast tank. In fact, he has turn meter gain on his basic attack. But he's also a very long duration tank who helps make his whole squad faster. So he's a very interesting tank that kind of plays differently than most tanks in the game. So what happened to his abilities? Well, his basic went from a 55 to a 70% chance to gain turn meter. His taunt lost 1 turn on a cooldown, so it's now a 4-turn cooldown after the Omega upgrade. His leader ability now does a % defense instead of a flat 35 defense, since defense has changed a lot in the game since he was first introduced. And he has a new Zeta upgrade to his unique, which now gives him 5% protection regeneration every time he takes damage, whether he's taunting or otherwise. So, all in all, not really very drastic changes were made to Stormtrooper Han. However, the way that you play him is still the same. He's basically the same old Stormtrooper Han that we all know and probably love. So there's not really going to be a whole lot changing in the way you use or play your Stormtrooper Han. Now, one of the biggest questions that a lot of people had were, well, why would you increase the turn meter gain chance on his basic attack? Why do you want Stormtrooper Han gaining turn meter? Well, number one, like I said, he feeds off of turn meter. The faster Stormtrooper Han is, the better he's going to be, especially in an environment today where you have so many characters that are capable of dispelling taunts. Stormtrooper Han, like I said, has a very long cooldown on his taunt. It's 4 turns, and that's with the Omega upgrade. So you're going to want him to be fast enough that he can get that taunt off again, especially considering one of the other perks of his taunt is when he taunts, he gives all of his teammates 30% turn meter. So that right there is another good reason that you want Stormtrooper Han rolling his taunt back around as often as you can so that he's taunting, giving turn meter to his allies, replenishing that taunt, which was likely dispelled at least 1 or 2 turns after he taunted, and then also getting those attacks out, because believe it or not, Stormtrooper Han also kind of has some decent damage. Yes, it's high damage variation, which really is pretty frustrating, especially when you're thinking, oh, Stormtrooper Han is awesome, he hits really hard, and then he whips out like a 1500 damage hit when he can hit for way more than that. So that's, a mild frustration, but he's still a very useful character, and the longer you keep him in the game, the more turns he's taking, the more turn meter he's dishing out to his allies, the more he's putting the taunt up, and when he has the taunt up, he's giving even more turn meter to his allies. So all in all, Stormtrooper Han is a very useful character. Like I mentioned in my first Commander Luke Skywalker miniseries video talking about the requirements, he has a lot of use outside of just the Commander Luke Skywalker event. So if you're thinking, well, why do I need to form Stormtrooper Han? I mean, I'm not going to be able to get the Commander Luke Skywalker event. Well, chances are you probably already have Stormtrooper Han. Chances are that you probably have Stormtrooper Han close to 7 stars. And chances are you're probably going to use Stormtrooper Han for other things other than the Commander Luke Skywalker event, because he's a rebel, Emperor Palpatine. He's a scoundrel, credit heist and droid smuggling events, and he's a great tank. So, I mean, at the very least, you can use him in the gear challenge, you know what I mean? So, Commander Luke Skywalker event is not going to be the only place you use Stormtrooper Han. I can pretty much guarantee you that. Now, one of the other big questions that I know a lot of you are going to have is, should you Zeta Stormtrooper Han? Short answer, probably not. There are a lot of really good Zetas in the game right now, and a 5% protection recovery on a Stormtrooper Han, who really, honestly, even though he's one of the fastest tanks in the game, is relatively one of the squishiest tanks in the game, doesn't have a very large quantity of health and protection as compared to other tanks in the game that have, like General Kenobi, who has around 40-50,000 protection. Stormtrooper Han doesn't have near that massive quantity of protection. Even if you mod the snot out of him for protection, he's not going to have near as much protection. So that 5% protection really isn't that much. A lot of people will look at that and say, well, why is it 5%? You know, there's so many other characters that gain protection when they take damage or whatever, and it's a smaller amount. Well, like I said, Stormtrooper Han doesn't have a whole lot of protection to be gaining with that 5%. So 5% for Stormtrooper Han compared to other tanks is going to be a smaller amount. So I would say in the long run, don't Zeta Stormtrooper Han, because at the end of the day, there are a lot of Zetas that are far more valuable than Stormtrooper Hans. That about does it for my Stormtrooper Han wrap-up. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Like, favorite, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Check me out on Facebook. And as always, join my Discord server to continue the conversation. And I'll catch you guys later.